Welcome to a March Madness edition of Big Ben and K Winn. I'm K Winn. Big Ben is actually out in Palm Springs. It is a milestone birthday for his wife, so he could not fight that. But he will be sneaking in at some point because we're broadcasting for the next 3 hours. NoFilter.net, Caffeine TV, YouTube TV, we're everywhere. Best day of the year. We've got AJ Nantz on the show today, and he is not in the transfer portal.
How you doing, man? It's good to be here.
How are you? Best day of the year.
It's best day of the year. And you know what? We kind of talked about this off air. Thursday and Friday are always like the most fun, and then it slowly like declines with excitement because there's less games. But no, it's the best time of the year, and I'm very grateful that you had me back on here after being on 4 or 5 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, happy to have you. You were great on the show for football, and you're like, hey, I got to get on for basketball.
Yes, sir.
So we've got you on, and we're going to have some fun here. We've got Duquesne, BYU, we got Michigan State, Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of toggling between both, and it's the first 2 games of the tournament. I already want to adjust my bracket.
Sure. So yeah, going into this, there's certain games where I don't even pay attention to the team. That's probably a downfall, but this is one of those games with Michigan State, Mississippi State, where I didn't really do a whole lot of research on Mississippi State. And I think I've looked at Ken Pom for 4 or 5 days straight here. My brain's like melted. But I did pick Michigan State, the Tom Izzo effect. Hogard's been here before and had a great success. He's had good success today so far as well. So I picked them. And then that Duquesne BYU matchup, I actually picked Duquesne. And a little spoiler, I picked all 11 seeds to win. And I know not all of them are going to win, but I feel like at least 3 of the 4 could. I feel like that's every year. So yeah, I'm really high on Duquesne. Being from St. Louis, they beat SLU in the conference tournament. So I watched them a lot throughout that conference tournament run. And being a huge LeBron James fan, they kind of have that connection with prior high school coach as their coach now. So I'm high on Duquesne.
Well, let's get into these 11 seeds. So Duquesne, BYU, got that. NC State over Texas Tech. NC State coming in on fire after the ACC tournament. Oregon, South Carolina. I love that pick. Like, Oregon's got some freshman guards. They've got some studs that it just took them a little bit of time to figure it out. So I think Oregon State could win that game. And then what is the other 11? New Mexico State. I love me some New Mexico State.
I love them. I absolutely love them.
Like, their guards, Donovan Dent, Joel Mashburn Jr., I think it's Jalen House. They can score and they can defend.
My thing was, when I was watching the selection show, it's very interesting because I thought to myself, I don't want to see Clemson and New Mexico near each other because I thought both teams could make a deep run. And let alone not being near each other, they're facing each other. Clemson with PJ Hall, I think he's the best player in that game. Yeah. But there's a big guy for New Mexico, Nelly Jr. Joseph, and he's about the same size, and I think he can kind of bang with PJ Hall. I went back and forth because talking with a buddy, I think whoever wins that game can make an Elite 8 run. I think they're that good.
I agree with you.
And I also think with Clemson, if you would have asked me mid-December about this matchup, I would have said Clemson because they were almost, I think at one point, even a top 10 team in the country. If not, they were really close, top 12. And New Mexico was in top 25, then slipped, and now they're on a run again. And I just think it's about momentum going into the tournament. And New Mexico's got the momentum. I think Clemson's like 5-5 or something like that in their last 10. So, I'm high on the Lobos.
I'm super high. Like, when I played way back when I was a guard. So I'm always biased to guards. But in the NCAA tournament, the guards are the ones that make the difference. They have the ball in their hands. And if you've got better guards who can handle late game pressure, can create for others, and can score, I think you can go further in the tournament. And the simple math I did here was New Mexico's guards were better than Clemson guards. So that's where I picked them.
Even hopping and building off of that, having good guards is great, but having senior guards is great. Yeah. And they have that. I think it's just about the experience. Like, this is, if we think about it, me fresh out of college, these are young men. And I just know how I was through those 4 or 5 years of college where there's a lot of like pressure going into this. And senior guards are most time a lot more mature than freshman guards. And they have that experience. And the Lobos definitely have that experience.
Definitely have it. So how many brackets are you in?
I made 10. I made 10 of them. I have like a couple like Gonzaga winners because I love the Zags.
Yeah.
I have a couple upset crazy ones, and then I have a couple like serious ones. Like I said, my brain is melted from looking at Ken Palm these last few days, but I absolutely love it.
Your brain's going to melt even further once all these games get into action. Because right now we only have 2.
I know.
A little later we'll be juggling 4, and then there's innings, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
wild.
already told my wife, like, I'm downstairs, I'm here, knock on the door, make sure I get some water to stay hydrated, but I'm ready to go.
That's funny.
So how would you rank today, first day of March Madness, to the Super Bowl, to Christmas, to your wedding date? Like, this is a monumental event.
You know what's hilarious about that? My wife and I were laying in bed last night before we went to sleep, and I told her tomorrow is literally Christmas Day for me. So I rank it up there with Christmas Day. I think this is more important than the Super Bowl just because there's so many things that are happening. The Super Bowl, there's so much buildup for one game. And sometimes, like last year, as a Seahawks fan, I hated the Niners, and as being from St. Louis, all the St. Louis Rams fans that joined the Chiefs, I hated the Chiefs. So it was like one of those miserable experiences. This, it's like you cheer for the underdogs. You have your favorite team, is in Gonzaga for me, and so this is up there with below the wedding day, but it's up there with everything else for sure.
Yeah, it's my favorite sporting event. I like baseball. I'm a big baseball fan. I like opening day, but why this is so great is because anything can happen in one game. Like David can beat Goliath in one game.
Yes.
And I go through the brackets every year and I'm like, they'll win. I'm like, wait a minute, that's too many low seeds. I gotta go back. And I'm like, wait, James Madison would play who in this scenario? But that's what's fun. There was a stat there, I think, over the last 9 years to the Final Four, there's been at least one 5 or worse seed. Yeah. So, like, as I was doing my bracket, I'm like, all right, well, then, like, someone like a St. Mary's has to go, or a Texas Tech could get hot, or a San Diego State.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of upsets this year. And going into this, I thought I have to pick some upsets, obviously. But I think this year, and I feel like I say this every year, but I think this year is a little different than most because I think there's tiers. I think UConn and Houston are in their own. I think right below them is probably Tennessee, North Carolina, Arizona, Purdue, kind of there too. Kentucky, maybe. So you
don't think Purdue is in a class with Houston and UConn, tier 1? You think they're below that?
I don't, only because I think they're still, and it's no Purdue hate, because I kind of hate all the hate. I want them to do well, just because how much hate they're getting. But I think they are very predictable still. I think it's find a way to stop Zach Edey, and you look at their matchups. I think they get by Grambling. I watched them last night. But after that, TCU and Utah State have size that could cause some trouble for Purdue. And I just think at some point they're going to run into some size that is going to give them trouble. But no, like I think with those tiers being there, I think under those teams, anything can happen. Like literally anything can happen. And so that's why I'm kind of high on, like, for example, I have New Mexico State in my Sweet Six or Elite Eight. I have Florida making an Elite Eight run. So So are you not scared about Florida's big who got hurt? You know, I was at first, and then I looked back on it, and he's not a huge impact guy. He gets a lot of rebounds, but he's not a huge scoring guy for them. They have a guy, Tyrese Samuel, who's getting like 14 and 8 a game. I'm really high on Walter Clayton Jr., the guard there. Jay Billis the other day even said if he had one guard in the country to take the last shot of the game, he'd pick Walter Clayton. Oh, wow. I watched a lot of them at the end of SEC play this year, and I think it's Poulin is their other guard. He turns over the ball like one time a game. So I like guys that, and he's a senior. So senior guards that don't turn over the ball, I think it's going to be going to pay off for them. But yeah, I'm not high on Marquette. I don't know if you planned on getting into this, but if there's a 2 seed to lose, if there's a 2 seed to lose in the first round, I don't have the guts to do it on my main bracket here. But Western Kentucky may give Marquette a run for their money.
Well, Tyler Kolek's been out for multiple weeks. He's got an oblique.
Yeah,
like he's going to come back and play. I don't know how effective he is going to be. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. They could lose. I have them getting by that first round into the second round. But if we stay in that region, I've fallen in love with Colorado. In the beginning of the season, all I heard about was Cody Williams, top 5 pick, Cody Williams. And I finally watched Colorado play last night. He comes off the bench. He may be the 3rd or 4th best player. KJ Simpson and De Silva are studs. And there's always one team that gets on a heater in that play-in game, uses that momentum to get to an Elite 8 or Sweet 16. So I'm pulling for Colorado. I'm showing my Pac-12 bias while there still is a Pac-12 left.
Yeah, the Pac-2.
I got Colorado. Going to at least the Elite 8, upsetting Florida, upsetting Marquette. And then that's where it gets interesting because Colorado could potentially play like a Kentucky or Texas Tech.
I like that thinking. I had Florida beating them in the first round, but I do believe whoever wins that Florida-Colorado matchup tomorrow, I think they make the Elite 8. Kentucky's so good offensively, but I don't think they can get stops. And I don't remember the stat I saw, but John Calipari's not had, and I like John, but he's not had a whole lot of success in the tournament. For a long time now. And so I think, and Marquette being iffy, like I said, I think NC State cools off, and I don't believe Texas Tech. So I think whoever wins that Florida-Colorado matchup tomorrow is in the Elite 8 versus, in my opinion, Houston.
I like Coach Cal too, but the way that his program is built, you start from scratch every time. You've got all these NBA talent and players that you got to blend together, which you're going to make the tournament. But for them to win it all, they need Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. They need those dudes. And I think they have them in their backcourt with Reed Shepherd and Dillingham. And Reeves is good. But one, they don't play defense. And two, I don't know if they can win any other way than trying to get 80 on the board. And you've got to win in a half-court game. You've got to win with some sort of defense. Texas Tech can score. Kentucky can't stop anyone. Texas Tech might, if they get through, be able to beat Kentucky. In one of my brackets, I have Texas Tech beating Kentucky.
I don't hate that at all. That's a really good point about Kentucky, though. They don't have ever a junior or senior presence on that team, ever. No. It's always just that NBA-type talent. I'm really high on NC State just because they went through Duke and they went through North Carolina. And they got super hot. And like I said, having momentum going into the tournament. And also the two DJs, DJ Burns, the big fella.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who. I mean, Tech playing in a very physical Big 12. Maybe they can figure that out. But he's a mismatch in that game. Tech goes up to 6'7". That's about it. And then DJ Horn has been shooting the ball lights out too. So I could see a world where NC State makes a run even past Kentucky because I don't know how they're going to stop Burns. I could see NC State going far as well.
So in your serious brackets, Final Four winners, who you liking?
So you make a good point about the 5 or above seed making it, and I will say I do have Drake going to the Elite 8. That's a crazy one for me as a 10 seed. But my Final Four, what's that?
I like that one. We're agreeing a lot.
So Drake was interesting to me because I think they have the potential to lose to Washington State. I mean, that could happen. And that would kind of screw up everything. But Iowa State just doesn't score enough for me. They're great defensively, obviously, top 2 in the country, if not number 1. But Drake has DeVries, the coach's kid, and he can absolutely shoot the lights out. He's 6'7". And I'm not super high on Illinois. I could see a world if Duquesne wins today where Illinois gets beat by Duquesne. But anyway, my Final Four. Out of the East, I have Auburn. I'm really high on Auburn.
Okay.
Last year, I should say this. I said this on our podcast as well. Last year, I picked UConn to win it all as a 4 seed. Now, I think that was kind of the trendy pick because they got hot at the time. But my reasoning was they were top 10 in offensive efficiency and top 10 in defensive efficiency. The only team in the country this year with top 10 in both is Auburn at 10th in defense and 4th in offense. I have Auburn coming out of the East and knocking off UConn in the Sweet 16. In the West, I have North Carolina. I think they have, in my opinion, one of the easiest roads. I have Grand Canyon in the Sweet 16, so I think they're going to face some teams like New Mexico, in my opinion, in the Elite 8. So I think North Carolina comes out of that region. In the South, I have Houston. I think Houston's 2 guards, LJ Cryer and Jamal Shed. Those two guys can absolutely get after it. I like Houston a lot. And then I'm really high on Tennessee. I do have the Zags going to the Elite Eight. I will say,
it's all right. We're a West Coast pod. We support you with your Zags.
Okay, I love it. We are not as good as past years. Okay. But if you look at the bracket here, the region that we're in, it's very favorable. Like Purdue's your 1 seed. I think Kansas loses to Samford tomorrow. Without McCullough, that's a huge loss. You have, Creighton, which they don't have depth. I think Tennessee's the only team in this region I'm really scared of. I think Utah State could get hot, but no, I have Tennessee beating the Zags in the Elite Eight and Tennessee going to the Final Four. And then my championship, I actually have Auburn and Houston. I have Houston winning it all. So, I have a little Southern matchup in the final there.
Little Southern matchup. I clearly did not do enough research on Auburn because in most of my brackets, I have Auburn out early. So in what I think is my number 1 bracket, which could change based on the outcome today or tomorrow, I've got UConn coming out of the East. I mean, they've got so many weapons. Tristan Newton, Klingon, Cam Spencer transfer from Rutgers, and Stephen Castle, who is finally starting to play at an elite level. Like the knock on him was he couldn't shoot, but since January, he's actually shooting that thing.
The thing is, Castle's a top 20 NBA prospect, and he's their 4th best player. They're you can't go wrong picking them.
And their offense is a thing of beauty with that motion and like Princeton back cuts, and like they just own the time of possession, and they're really efficient on offense with all of those weapons. I think it's going to be hard for UConn to lose. So I've got UConn coming out of the East. I'm going Baylor in the West. Like I've got so many upsets in the West. I had Mississippi State winning, which I didn't see enough of Mississippi State. I just heard that they were big and strong, and they had Hubbard, who was a guard, and Tulu Smith. So I was riding that train to win today and then beat Carolina. Not looking good as of yet. I'm heavy on Charleston. Like they're coming in on a heater, winning 12 straight, 20-0. When they score at least 80 points, what do we know about Alabama? They cannot defend. So I have Charleston beating them and actually going up against Grand Canyon in the West. I have Nevada beating Dayton and Arizona. My West could go upside down quickly, but I picked Baylor coming out of that. I think Scott Drew, Baylor's one of the best 3-point shooting teams. I'm a little scared about their defense, but I think experience and guard play. So I've got UConn and Baylor. I got UConn beating Baylor. And then I've got Creighton actually coming out and playing Kentucky. So scratch everything that I said about Kentucky because I need them in at least one bracket. And then I've got Creighton against Connecticut. And I've got Connecticut and Creighton in a Big East with UConn winning. I'm high on Creighton because they've got that big guy in the center, Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yep.
3-time defensive player in the year. And if somehow they can play Purdue or Gonzaga, I think he can be a difference maker because what Creighton won't let you do is shoot 3-pointers. Like they extend all the way out. They let you beat with 2-pointers or challenge. And I like Baylor, Schreierman, and Trey Alexander. So it looks like it's a Big East final for me. So let's hope that comes true.
I was high on Creighton all year long until I dove deeper into it, and I probably shouldn't have done it. It's probably going to screw up everything. I spent hours looking at this thing.
What's wrong with Creighton?
My problem with Creighton, and it's the same problem I have with North Carolina, even though I have North Carolina in the final or in the Final Four, is the depth issue. I think we saw that a couple of years ago when North Carolina faced Kansas. They run 6-7 guys deep, and let's say foul trouble happens, or in my opinion, I have Oregon beating them in the round of 32 because Dante is such a force, the big guy for Oregon. I think he could cause problems with Kalkbrenner. So, and who's the guard for Oregon? Coulizard, I believe.
I think it's like Jackson Kalstead or something like that.
Yeah. But he's a great player too. And I think he can kind of counter Alexander's play for Creighton. So I by no means disagree. I think Creighton could make a deep run. But it's March, so I gotta go a little crazy with it.
Yeah. You know what I love? Every potential game has a backstory to it.
Yes.
Because the coaching world and basketball world is so small. I would love to see Oregon play Creighton because I think Dana Altman was initially at Creighton.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a great story to have.
Well, you're talking about the coaching matchup. You have the potential Tennessee, Texas with Barnes as well. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think that happens. You were talking earlier about there's always a playing team that can make a deep run. And even though I don't have one making it super far, I do think Colorado State has enough to beat Texas tonight, I believe. Isaiah Stevens, the guard for Colorado State, didn't even play very well the other night, and they won. I mean, I don't think Virginia shouldn't even been in this thing in the first place. But I think Colorado State has enough to make a deep run. I have them losing to Tennessee in that second round, but keep an eye on Colorado State.
I read somewhere, this could be a wrong stat, like Virginia hasn't won a first-round game in like 4 or 5 years.
Well, probably since that championship.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Wow. Tony Bennett. I mean, he's a great coach, but
he is.
What I worry about him is maybe the game has changed too much and that he likes slow the ball down, very methodical, time of possession, play defense, and we see where offenses are going. It's like spread them out, 3-point line, guards, go, offense over defense. And the NBA is like that to some degree as well.
Yeah, definitely. No, I completely agree. I think he's kind of stuck in that defensive mindset. Not saying that defense isn't important because you obviously need it. But he has, I mean, going into this thing, I was looking at it, and Reese Beekman's great, but they had nobody else that could score the basketball. And they went, I think I saw it on Instagram, like 52 minutes of actual time without scoring a basket.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, I think he needs to evolve. I think the greatest coaches, and me being a basketball coach now, I'm trying to figure it out as well. But I think the greatest coaches evolve as the game evolves. And I don't think he's done that.
I don't think he has either. Sorry, my dog was growling. I got to get him out of here. What do you think of the transfer portal? Like, you're a college coach.
I haven't honestly thought too much of it. The only thing that's kind of stuck in my mind is now it's open. I think it opened like this week or something, like the same time.
Monday.
Yeah, so like the same time that this is all going on, and I'm just thinking, all these college coaches, what are they going through? Because they have to probably assign guys to go do that while they're trying to focus on their games here. Transfer portal, NIL. It's kind of getting out of control, I guess, in a way. I'm not a huge hater of it, though. I've always thought, NIL-wise, players should be able to make some profit off their names like that. We promote them so much, especially during a tournament like this. They should be able to make some dough off that. But no, overall, I'm not a huge hater on the transfer portal either. But it is obviously one of the top topics to talk about nowadays in all college sports.
I was actually out to lunch, and I think I solved the transfer portal problem with a buddy of mine.
Yeah?
So I would love your take on it because you're in college sports. So
yeah,
I believe if a coach leaves, the player should be able to transfer. Like, if you chose a school and you were tied to that coach and that vision, and that coach leaves, you should have a window of time when you can transfer. So I believe that should happen. Besides that, I think you're only allowed to transfer once.
I don't hate that. That's good.
And if you want to transfer twice, because it is a free country, you have to sit out a year. That's how I would solve the problem.
Okay.
I think it would limit the portal.
It's funny you said the transferring only if your coach moves. That's like a fun fact about Utah State. All of those players on that roster weren't at Utah State last year. The Montana State coach or moved there, and he took pretty much everybody with him. So no, I like that. I like that way of thinking for sure. I think that could solve a lot of issues going on right now.
Yeah, like I'm all for kids getting money and maximizing their NIL, but the brand of basketball and the life lessons that you get from just like, oh, this didn't work, I'm gonna leave. Like, the grass isn't always greener, right?
Yes.
Okay, you didn't start as a freshman, right? Like, work a little harder, right? Like, you could, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm old school. Like, you make a decision, you stick with it. Like, there are some circumstances, I get it, where you might be homesick or maybe the college isn't a good fit. So yes, you do have the ability to transfer, but not 3 or 4 times in your college career. Like, I don't want to see 3 or 4 transfers.
Yes. No, that's a very good point. Because I believe, kind of like you're thinking, where all the power to the player, but I think there should be a limit. Like you said, you can't just keep running every time it gets difficult. Now, if a coaching issue or something happens, or like you said, even the homesick issue or whatever it is, I think one time is okay. But like, I don't know how many times. The one transfer sticking in my head is Eddie Lampkin, and I think he was just at TCU and then at Colorado. But I was trying to think of other ones. But there's some that I know that have gone to 3 or 4 schools and have just kept hopping around. So yeah. I like your way of thinking. The name that comes to
my mind is Keaton Slovis. They're Slovis. I think I might be butchering his name. He started at USC, then he was at Pitt, then he was at BYU, and it's like he just keeps going around.
Sure.
Like, I mean, good for him that he's doing it, but I don't know. It's too much.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we have Duquesne 33-24, Michigan State 35-29. I underestimated Tom Izzo and the Spartan defense like greatly. Sure. Like, Michigan State's got some guys, they've got some studs, but as I'm watching this game, every shot is contested. Every shot is hard. Every shot is like a defended double team, and that's just Michigan State basketball.
It is.
Which I should have paid closer attention to when I picked my bracket.
No, they can absolutely get after it. And I said this on our podcast. I don't think there's a Michigan State run this year like they've had in prior years, because I think North Carolina is that good. Top heavy, like I said, but very good. But I do believe Michigan State pulls this one out, and I think they could keep it close with North Carolina. I really do.
Yeah, I think they can. And Duquesne, wow.
Love them.
10 now. BYU didn't score for like the first 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
BYU is a great passing team, can shoot the ball, but Duquesne is getting out and defending. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Well, they have a couple guards that kind of jumpstart their whole team. The main one is Day Grant, and I described them both as NBA shot creators. Like, they have that ability to kind of, at the end of the shot clock, go get a bucket. I didn't really see that with BYU. Obviously, BYU playing in a tougher conference all year long, but Duquesne with the momentum. Their coach was LeBron's high school coach, like I mentioned.
What conference is it Duquesne in? 1, and 2, where is Duquesne?
I have no idea where Duquesne is. I'm guessing Ohio. That's okay. My guess. But they are in the Atlantic 10, the A10. But they also announced their coach, LeBron's high school coach.
Duquesne is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Is it really? Okay. Yeah. Well, this is his last go around. He announced that before the tournament began. This is his last hurrah here as a coach. So I think they might be playing their hearts out a little harder for him.
Yeah, kind of the whole Dan Monson. You're a Gonzaga fan. Like, it was, I mean, way back. I think it was in like, I don't know, 2000 or 1999, I think, 2000, when Munson was with the Zags.
Yeah.
And that was the first run where they went to the Elite Eight, and they almost beat UConn. And then he left and went to Minnesota. Then Mark Few just took Gonzaga to the next level. And then you didn't hear much about Dan Munson. He's at Long Beach State. They fire him. He continues to coach. They win the Big West. And wow, they're in the tournament. So,
isn't that crazy?
That is crazy the way things work out.
No, that's one of my favorite storylines of this whole tournament, is that they're just kind of he's hanging on right now. Like, I don't even know if he wants to be there really, but he's hanging on. I think Arizona wins that matchup, but if I were to pick, like I said, Marquette was the number 1-2 seed for me that I thought could be on upset watch. I think Arizona could be, just because I have Nevada, I think, like you said as well, beating Arizona in that second round. For me, I think there's going to be a point where Caleb Love, it's him and everybody else, and he gets cold. And I just think, what's their backup option? And they have depth, but I don't know. I think there's going to be a night where Caleb Love gets cold. And Nevada, led by Jared Lucas, who played with Oregon State, in their deep run. I think Oregon or Nevada is going to upset Arizona in that second round.
Love it. Well, AJ, thanks for coming on the show.
Of course.
Bo Brock. So, Bo, look at AJ's. Bo used to live in Spokane.
That's right.
Right on. Let's go. Go Zags,
Northwest.
baby.
It's a tough first round matchup. I think McNeese is getting a little too much love, though.
I agree.
Going into the tournament, I thought McNeese was one of those teams that could upset anybody, and so I'm stressing it tonight too. But I'll hand it off to you, Bo. I appreciate it, Kyle, for having me on, and have fun, guys. Enjoy the tournament.
All right, A to Z Sports. Make sure you check out AJ Nantz. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Brock.
Yeah, we got to get a Nantz involved in March Madness again. I love what you've done there, K Winn.
Do what I can. Big Ben is in Palm Springs, a milestone birthday for his wife. So
okay,
he could be popping in with some like aviator shades on from the pool. So
love it.
We'll see.
30's a big year. 30's a big year, you know?
I won't comment on how old she is.
Right.
21st. It's the 21st birthday.
That's right. That's right. Lots of people for the 21st birthday go to Palm Springs.
That's right. So how have you been?
I've been great, man. Just been covering this wild NFL offseason, trying to keep up with that while fill out a couple brackets here. Got in some survivor pools. I mean, I was just at it this morning. I got up early, got the coffee brewing, and started really deep diving it. How do you do it? Like when they do Selection Sunday, do you get right after it, or do you kind of marinate on the seedings and look at it before you really put pen to paper on a bracket?
So I take a cursory glance at the bracket and I mute the talking heads because too many years I get caught up in what they're saying and I don't go with my gut. And then I listen to some podcasts and then I get back to the bracket on like a Wednesday night and I really look in it. I gotta like let the emotions go. Let the thoughts of like, oh, this team over that team go. So heavy ingestion day of, give it a little time and then come back to it Wednesday night.
I love the process. I'm with that one, the process. Today, this was a little late for me. It's usually a Wednesday night cram sesh, and I love it, man. What do you think of the game so far today? It looks like Michigan State, Mississippi State are getting after it a little bit.
I underestimated Tom Izzo and Sparty.
I know.
I was telling AJ, I was caught up in it's Josh Hubbard who just scored for Mississippi State. They got Tulu Smith. They're big. They're physical. They can score. They beat Tennessee twice. But it's so hard to get a bucket against Michigan State. They just get in you.
Yeah.
Force a bad shot and they rebound. So I think I've already missed this one. I have Mississippi State winning here and beating Carolina.
Oh, man. I had Tar Heels getting a little bit deeper, but I'm with you on this game. I think I'm going to miss on this one. And it used to be for so long, and I can't believe we started discounting it, but they've fallen on a little thinner years. But it used to be death taxes and Michigan State, Sparty going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Duquesne up on BYU.
Oh.
Got Creighton just tipped with Akron. It's going to be an amazing day.
So how many brackets do you do?
I've got 2 official brackets. And then, like I said, I'm in a couple survivor pools where for the first time I went some big names. I have to admit, I went out in the first day last year. Like a lot of people, I think half the people in the survivor pool went out the first day in the last year, but I took North Carolina today.
So wait, walk me through the survivor for college basketball. I've done NFL, so I'm assuming it's the same. It's one team. You can't pick the same team twice.
Correct, but so for the first 2 days, it's two picks today and 2 picks tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've got Carolina and Kentucky. I went a couple blue bloods today, but it's teams that. Like you're with these Tar Heels, like do you envision having to holster them for like a Sweet 16 run? I'm with you. I don't think so. So I'm going to use them and burn them right now. But I hope you're wrong as far as – but you had a round of 32 exit for Carolina, right? Okay.
Yeah. But what the great late Jimmy Valvano, survive in advance. You got to pick the winner today. Worry about tomorrow's problem tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. I'm covering a team that's all about tomorrow. As far as the Arizona Cardinals, it's all about the rebuild, and next year is going to be their year. But no, in the tournament, it's now. It's like you win, you survive in advance now. That's why we love it. That's why we love some of these Cinderella stories come out, and sure they crush our bracket, but memorable moments, no doubt about it.
Memorable, yeah. Don't worry, my wife doesn't listen to this podcast. I rank today, wedding anniversary, Super Bowl. Those are my top 3 life experiences. But this is my favorite day of the year. I love it.
Yeah. I'm with you. You know what? And I'm a weirdo. I've got the NFL draft in a top 10 experience, but it doesn't touch this. Like, no matter how dialed you are in on the college basketball season, these 4 days to open the tournament, you can't match it. It's unmatchable.
You can't. And these are teams competing at the highest level. One game, anything can happen. And so there's so many close games and buzzer beaters and upsets. It's the greatest sporting event of all time.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I don't. I mean, that's just the parity that you get. Now we've seen 2 1s go down in the last couple of years. What's your feeling on this Purdue team? Because I see their path, and I don't see like a big upset brewing, and it pained me to put them going at least 2 rounds in this tournament. It's just they're boring to watch, and I have no confidence in them whatsoever, no matter who's their opponent.
They're fraudulent. They are frauds. I think they could lose to Utah State.
Yeah.
I think they could potentially lose to Gonzaga. They could lose to Creighton as well. Creighton's got a big 7-footer. They don't
get that Big Ten home cooking officiating that Edey benefits from. Their entire squad seems to benefit from. I just don't know. I don't think that's a hot take to really not feel confidence in this Purdue team. It's like, fool me once, fool me twice with them.
It's not Purdue, it's Purdue. Don't pick Purdue. I think they might be cursed, and I hate to say that, but they just can't get over the hump. They can't do it.
No.
Even though I do believe they have a great path and a bracket that would make sense to pick Purdue to at least go to the Final Four.
Yeah, I had to find a way. Yeah, I had to find a way to not let that happen. I'm like, okay, where's the upset going to happen? And made sure to as soon as I could do it. But the first 2 rounds, I'm like, I think that they'll probably win those games, right? And they're on like.
But they lost to Furman last year.
They did. They did. But don't you think that's going to fuel them at least to get out of the first round?
Listen, this could be like a Virginia situation when Virginia lost that game. I don't remember. I think it was a 2-15, and they heard about it all off season. The next year they won it all with like Kyle Guy and DeAndre Hunter. That easily could happen to Purdue because they have the experience and they have a very dominant force inside where you could put a zone around them, 2 guys. It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, UMBC, that was legendary when they upset UVA, and then Virginia just completely just soiled themselves the other night, 42 points. As they were trying to at least beat fraud charges, but after they snuck into the tournament over, a Seton Hall or an Oklahoma, and even St. John's probably had a better case than Virginia, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't beat the charges, and they were thrown right into fraud jail on Tuesday night. So yeah, Purdue, they'll get Grambling today or tomorrow. And
maybe.
And then Utah State or TCU's right there looming. And then, as you said, is it KU? Is it Gonzaga? I think that's where their run ends in the Sweet 16.
I agree with you. So should we talk a little football while we have you?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
I mean, what do you think about the quarterback carousel that happened about a week ago.
Yeah. It was just a mass exodus from 2021 drafted quarterbacks, right? We saw that how the rest of the league feels about Justin Fields. Pittsburgh, it's a really fascinating. Like the rubber's going to meet the road somewhere. They're like, Justin Fields is 10-30 in his career, and Russell Wilson hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire. But Mike Tomlin, like we talk about death taxes, and Mike Tomlin and his Steelers teams finishing over 500. Like something has to give, especially in a tough AFC North. But Kirk going from Minnesota really has shaken things up because it takes the free agent, this couple of weeks here with free agency, and that's going to trickle into the draft because what Minnesota did on Friday, getting that extra first-round pick, and they have the ammunition, if they want so, to get up the draft board and get one of these quarterbacks outside of probably Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I was telling Big Ben, it was almost like some teams valued like Gardner Minshew. Like the Raiders valued Gardner Minshew over Justin Fields because that was a potential landing spot. And then you've got Denver and Minnesota, and even Tennessee. Like I think they value drafting a quarterback who could be like a JJ McCarthy or Bo Nix. Like they value those quarterbacks more than Justin Fields.
It's wild. It's wild that Bo Nix's stock is higher than Justin Fields. Somebody that is such a polarizing figure in Chicago. People are like threatening the Bears organization because they got rid of Justin Fields. Like it was everybody's fault but Justin Fields to the cult of Justin Fields. I mean, I think Justin Fields, here's my take on him. I think he's at times very electric to watch. And he's somebody that I'm pulling for. But at the same time, if I'm the Bears, that move is the easiest move to make. It's like you've got what the consensus number one pick that fell into your lap because you made the deal with Carolina last year, and you got the rest of the league contemplating giving you a day 3 pick. I mean, they got a bag of footballs in return for Justin Fields, and you're like, no, it's Caleb Williams. Like you take the red flags with Caleb Williams over what you already know about Justin Fields, and especially where he was contractually. They got to make a decision on the 5th-year option. And then after that, you got to figure out, what makes sense as far as what you want to pay him going forward. So is he somebody you want to commit $30 to $40 million a year? I think that's an easy no.
Yeah. Well, it's all about fit, right? And I don't think Justin Fields fit in Chicago. And I definitely don't think he fits in that Pittsburgh offense. Like, I think I've got my tiers. I've got elite, low-key elite, and good. Yeah. I think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But if he was in, like, Baltimore, a run-heavy offense, a tight end, he would probably look good.
Yeah.
It just depends. Philly, he would probably look good in Philly.
Yeah.
But he went from one bad fit to another bad fit. And Big Ben has a saying, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. And there's going to be so much tension coming in Pittsburgh with what they're going to do and who's going to start. And is it Justin Fields' time? And is Russ too old? I can already see the storylines from now until the end of next year.
Yeah. I feel like at times Justin Fields and Russell Wilson suffered from the same issues, but completely different skill sets, different points in their career. But it's the Spider-Man meme. It's like we hold on to the football way too long. Yeah. Russ will run into a sack, and sometimes Justin Fields will make an unbelievable play, but more often than not, he's taking a big sack or he's throwing an incompletion. But no, you're right. Like Arthur Smith, like the only people that thrive in his offense are like 3rd string tight ends and like wide receivers in the backfield. So it is an absolute odd fit. But
undrafted running backs.
Right. Yeah. Well, you've got a guy you just utilize the top 10 pick on, and Bijan. Arthur Smith will continue to be a menace to us fantasy football players. But what are your thoughts on the quarterbacks in this draft? You mentioned JJ McCarthy because he's somebody that, I got, being at the combine, being at the Senior Bowl, early inclination that this guy was legitimately going to become a top 10 drafted quarterback. And now he's pushing to be a top 5 guy. It's pretty wild, his rise in the pre-draft process.
I haven't seen enough of him. When I saw the Michigan games, I felt like they won with running the ball and defense, and then he would make some plays here or there. So I guess I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I do think this class is going to be like the 2021 class where there's like these 5 names, these 5 studs. But then you get one who's just going to be like a Trevor Lawrence, who's a good serviceable quarterback. I don't know who that's going to be.
I think it's got to be, if you're putting the smart money's Caleb, right? And I know that's chalk, but the arm talent's there. I think he's more competitive than people lead on. He's just he's unique. He's a little odd, but I think
now, is he a bad person? Or is that the media just trying to spin it so he'll fall further down in the draft?
It's really it's somebody who covers on a day-to-day basis, another polarizing guy, and somebody I think who gets there's a lot of misconceptions around, and the narrative went way out of control in Kyler Murray. I see a lot of similarities to where them being a bit introverted, a bit more Gen Z, with them having such an important position and being so high profile, people want more from them as far as sound bites and things that they want from a leadership standpoint, or what perceived as a leadership standpoint. I think Caleb, like Kyler, is way more competitive than people give him credit for. And I think he's going to be in a good position. He's going to endure himself to his teammates. And that's really what's going to matter. And, you'll still see, we're still going to have to go through the Caleb Williams maturation process like we did with Kyler, where he's going to pout on the sidelines inevitably, and people are going to be like, see, he doesn't do it. But at the same day, if he matures, he's got the skill set to where he can be easily a top 10, top 5 quarterback.
He's got Keenan Allen, and he's got DJ Moore. So he's got some weapons. I'm just concerned about the Bears' offense. You've got to put an offense around him to allow him to succeed.
We got Waldron, who came over from Seattle, and it seems like that's still kind of run heavy. Does DJ Moore play the TJ Lockett role, and Keenan plays the DK role? It's those pieces. I could see the Moore thing, but I don't know. And then I was at the Super Bowl Radio Row, and Jackson Jigba Smith was asked about Waldron's departure, and he's like, "Are we live right now?" He didn't know if he could speak. He was immediately out of pocket. So I haven't heard the best things about their new OC as they move on from Getsy. So I think it's going to benefit potentially Seattle, but Chicago it's still in their head coach Eberflus doesn't feel like he gives you that much confidence. There was a lot of talk that he could have been done after this year.
Yeah, there was. So staying in Arizona, moving back to college basketball. Now, I know you're a Sun Devil at heart. Yeah. But have you seen enough U of A basketball to give an assessment on the Wildcats?
Man, I mean, do they fit a lot of the similar narratives around the rest of college basketball with these, big-time programs? Like when we talk about, Carolina or what were the other ones that we were mentioning? You could throw Duke or any of the big time programs. Yeah. I think UConn is a little bit more set to make a deep run, where Arizona, they just run so hot and cold. And you got Caleb Williams who transferred there before the season from Carolina. And it's they go as Caleb Love goes. And you would think that as far as the roster goes, it's as talented as Tommy Lloyd's had, but they just have these lapses, man, where they don't show up. They run cold, and they end up losing the teams that they're have so much more talent in, and it's tough to pin down. Early in the season, you watch U of A, and they're beating up on some really impressive schools, and then the next thing you know, they beat Tennessee. Then they beat Wisconsin. They've got some good wins on their resume, but then you see them go to Vegas, and you think that they're just going to run through the Pac-12 tournament. And they no-show in the second half against Oregon. And Oregon's a tournament team in its own right. But at the same time, they don't have the same talent that U of A has. It's just U of A could get hot and make an easy run to the Sweet 16 and then, match up with some bigger dogs. But they also have the ability to take a misstep in the round of 32, which I wish it wasn't so. I've kind of eased off my Wildcat hate because I married a woman that went to the wrong school. And, I think that it's good for the sports scene around here to have a good basketball program, and we don't have that in Tempe with Bobby Hurley and crew. So I just think that they lack so much consistency that you don't know night in and night out what you're going to get.
Well, we saw it in the losses in the latter half of the Pac-12 to Washington State, to USC, to Oregon. I feel like they played down to their opponent. Like, they'll play up for a blue blood, a tier 1 school, but they'll play down. I think they'll beat Long Beach State. I'm not buying into the hype that Long Beach State is excited to be there and Munson's going to give it his all. I feel like he's already got his plane ticket booked to Cabo or somewhere in the south of France, and he's checked out. So I think Arizona will get by Long Beach. I think they're going to run into some trouble against either Dayton or Nevada. I mean, Dayton's got, I think, De'Aaron, I can't think of his name right now, but he's a 4. He plays like a 5. He can shoot the ball. He's going to be a problem for them to defend. And Nevada is sneaky good. Nevada can win as well. Steve Alford's in Nevada, right?
Yeah. He took another team to the dance. I think when you got somebody a big and they can kind of bump you around like Washington State did, that's where you run into trouble with Arizona, especially if they get a little cold shooting the basketball. I don't disagree with that. The Mountain West, man, 6 teams in.
But no team is higher than a 5.
Right. That's why it's just such
disrespect is real.
Well, then you had Patino in New Mexico winning that tournament outright, which I think confused a lot of people and probably really jacked up the seedings and jacked up the entire, like, who's in and who's out.
Well, you look at BYU, they're a 6, and San Diego State's a 5. And it's just like, it seems like San Diego State should be a little higher, and maybe BYU should be a little lower. But BYU had some great wins in the Big 12.
Yeah.
They beat Baylor. They beat Kansas at Kansas. They beat Iowa State. I think it's all going to get settled in the next couple of weeks.
That's right. That's why it's the most wonderful time of the year. Can I get your thoughts on Ohtani before I leave? I don't know how long I'm hanging out here, but I'll stay as long as you want. This is a wild story that dropped within the last 12 hours.
So you've got to, like, bring me up to speed on this. I know this is my jurisdiction, but like, was it his agent or his personal manager? What was happening? Let me Google it so I can have a thought on it.
I'll try to bring it to you, but there's been so many changes as far as the story goes. There was an investigation that had $4.5 million of money that initially we heard was Ohtani covering the gambling costs of his interpreter. And they fired his interpreter, the Dodgers did. And then it comes to find that Ohtani's name is signed off on 2 wire transfers of $500,000, so $1 million worth of wire transfers that are attached to gambling debts. So it's at first it's Ohtani was asked by his interpreter to pick up the costs on his gambling debt, and now it is that Ohtani was blindsided by this and had no idea, and he's the victim of theft. And you see these 2 guys in the dugout at the same time.
Wait. So are we saying this guy does not have a gambling problem and he just took some money from Ohtani?
We don't. Yeah, I mean that's what what Ohtani's camp is now pointing to. But ESPN and I think Jess Passan and Trish Thompson did some digging, and they're like, whoa, that's not the case. And then you see them in the dugout hours before this news all broke and that they fired his interpreter. They're just hanging out like you and I. They're just like shooting the breeze. But little do they know, like hours later, this huge bombshell report's going to come out. And it's just, people are speculating like who actually had the gambling problem. Where's the money from?
That's what I was going to say too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love Ohtani, so it pains me to say this, but like, is this his interpreter a front for his gambling addiction or his gambling problem?
Because if it's what Ohtani's camp now is saying, I mean that could be prison time for this guy. So we'll see just kind of how this thing plays out. But who had a squeaker image than Ohtani? And now it's just like, well, I don't know what to think with the guy.
So this is his interpreter from the Angels.
Yeah.
And then when he signed with the Dodgers, he came.
They're best friends.
Oh.
They're apparently best friends. I mean, you see him. I mean, he and Ohtani have been inseparable during his time with the Angels in the off season. Like they're jet setting around in private jets, hanging out together. Them and their wives are hanging out. Now he's gone. Like within a snap of the fingers, he's out of there.
So I hope it's just like a best friend thing. Like, hey, I'm going to help you get out of this bind. Yeah. Here's some money. Yeah. I think Ohtani seems like he's no.
Yeah. Maybe he's got a little Michael Jordan in him. Maybe he just loves to. Maybe he's got that competitive itch that doesn't turn off after he's out, not between the lines.
That's quite possible as well.
You excited about? I still don't feel like MLB. Like I won't acknowledge. I'll watch the games. I'll see the highlights, but I'm still traditionalist. I miss my Monday opening days.
Oh yeah, me too. Like it threw me off the games in Seoul, Korea. You know, I like turn on my phone. Oh, Dodgers won, beat the Padres. I was like, oh, opening day start. I'm traditional too. I'm like April 1st. That's when baseball is. When the calendar adjusts, I can't get used to the earlier opening days.
Right. The Thursday nights or whatever they've been doing.
Yeah.
I remember like just setting. It's like, oh, the Reds are playing somebody a Monday afternoon to kick off to open the season, and then I'll watch 3 to 4 to 5 games that day. And now it's not the same. They really did jack it up. Like I get the kind of get the international flavor for it and putting it out there, but at the same time the compromise opening day. I mean, there are a couple of different benchmarks as far as MLB seasons. Opening day, right? It's probably like Memorial Day, around the 4th of July, All-Star break, and then, playoffs.
Well, now it's like the international series, and then they have Sunday night baseball, and then some games open on another day. Like it's just, it's not consistent. I'm with you. Monday, whatever that Monday is, the last Monday in March or that first Monday in April, all the teams play. I don't want like half on, half off. I want all the teams because that truly is opening day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Looks like Michigan State. They're up 14, about 6.5 minutes left. Duquesne giving it to BYU still. That just tipped the second half. And you got Creighton and Akron, a 3 and a 4, 14. They're knotted at 27.
Yeah, it's coming down to the fun time where we have the end of the games and the new game starting, and then a buzzer beater here.
Yeah.
And a turnover there.
Buckle up, K Winn. It's madness is here.
It is here. Well, I did not see enough of Duquesne. I saw plenty of BYU, and I thought with their shooting and their experience and playing against elite talent in the Big 12, so far I thought that they would have a better showing. But 30 points, and we're already 19 minutes in the second half.
Yeah. Are they just is it poor shooting on their behalf, or is Duquesne hot, or what's going on?
It's just they're not even getting easy looks. They're not even getting a chance to spread the ball and run their motion offense. And they're guarding them well beyond the 3-point line.
Yeah. Let's see.
Wow, Michigan
Duquesne
State.
5 for 13. I mean, they're even shooting threes, but as far as you said, the overall field goal shooting, I mean, they're 9 for 27 on the game. They're gonna have to pick it up in the second half, quick.
Yeah. So how are you watching these games here?
I've got a tablet with one of the games on here, and then I got on the big screen. I've just mostly been riding with Michigan State, Mississippi State, but then I'm going to go into our office, which we're a sports media company. I saw them setting up another TV rack, so I think we'll have 4 flat screens with all the games on them. So I'm going to be pretty spoiled.
You're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, sorry about that. You got me? You got me?
I can't. Oh, maybe because Caden's coming on.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
I hear you.
I can't hear you guys.
Can you hear me?
I love the Santa Clara. Well, Bo, it is 11:01, so maybe you're just going to have a silent exit?
I guess.
All right. Well, thanks. Keep me posted on Otani and go Zags.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Can you hear me, Kyle?
I can't hear you.
You can't.
If you go onto the settings button on the bottom right, like the gear,
Yeah.
it should be able to adjust your mic or your input or your output.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Blue taskbar should start to increase or decrease.
Yeah. It says I'm talking.
All right, we got 4
Where we at now?
games right now. Duquesne. Didn't see that one. Duquesne up 40-30. Long Beach, Arizona just tipping off. Creighton, Akron in a dogfight.
What are we looking at now? Can you hear me?
On the far right, did you click the gear button? The personal settings, you might have to like change the speaker or
Yeah. Kyle. What are we It says I'm talking.
what mic are you using? Is it just the internal mic?
Yeah.
Sparty up 16, 66-50. Open shot by Hubbard, misses. Rebound. Michigan State's just desperate at this point, jacking up 3-pointers. I think this game is over. I think Sparty is moving on. This Creighton game's an interesting one. Akron is not going away.
Better? Is this better?
No, still cutting in and out. Long Beach, opening bucket.
BYU. It's clean on the-
What kind of browser are you using?
I'm on Google Chrome, I think.
Are you using a Google Chrome browser?
Yeah.
Do you have an iPad? Maybe try from the iPad?
My dad said he can hear me. Is it just bad on your end, or?
Hold on. Can I see your settings?
Yeah.
Can you like take a screenshot and email it to me? Three minutes ago, Mississippi State already looking defeated.
Long Beach State's coming out strong. I just emailed it to you, Kyle.
Did you email me the screenshot? Okay. Just waiting for it to come through. But you can hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Is there any other options on the when you click down the mic?
How's this work, Kyle?
What do
Is
you
this
use your phone for?
The iPhone. It says iPhone microphone's an option.
So I think you have to log off your phone. I think it's interfering.
How's this? How's this?
No. So when you go to what happens when you click on the mic? Is there another option on the no, there's only one.
There's only one.
Are you on your laptop?
Yeah.
No, you might have to close. You might have to delete your your cache on on your internet cache and then restart it because maybe it's tying it up.
I'm looking at it and I can hear myself on the stream.
Maybe try to restart your computer, or I would say either restart the computer or delete, go into the web browser and clear the cache because sometimes the cache gets in the way. Try to clear it and then try to restart it, and maybe that will help because everything else looks fine. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Got a couple commercials. Akron Creighton, the Zips, Nike sponsor school. LeBron James gives a lot to Akron. All right, winding down the first games. Creighton's in a dogfight. 3 minutes left. Ooh, big man going after the defensive player of the year. Skyhook. Little Kareem Abdul-Jabbar there for Torres as Akron takes the lead. Let's see how Creighton responds here. Akron is giving him fits defensively. Mr. McDermott looking a little flustered here early. This better pick up because I have Creighton going to the final game. All Big East final, UConn versus Creighton. Might not happen here if they can't get the ball rolling. Arizona up 9-5 against the Beach, Long Beach State. Long Beach hasn't been in the tournament in a while. I wonder if Snoop Dogg's at the game. Baylor Shireman, 2 fouls early. Creighton Blue Jays best player. Second team All Big East. I still think Creighton will be okay. I'm not worried about them. Long Beach State cuts it to 2. I haven't really watched Arizona much this year, but Long Beach State is trying to zone them. Arizona's good with ball movement. Finds the open man. Caleb Love. Bucket. Already going to lose my first game. The first game. Mississippi State. Oh. Guess I shouldn't have them pick and win against North Carolina. Arizona shoots a lot of threes. If they look somewhat like Gonzaga in terms of their offense.
What about now, Kyle? Can you hear me?
It's a little better.
A little better?
It's a little better. I can hear you now. It's like a little choppy though.
All right. So, Kyle, who do we got winning it all?
I had Mississippi State beating Michigan State and Mississippi State beating Carolina, which is not going to happen.
I had the same thing, but with Michigan State. I got Michigan State in my Final Four.
Oh, brutal.
You don't bet against Izzo in March. But I need Creighton right now to start watching.
So are you streaming the games on your phone?
I'm watching it on the monitor above me.
Okay. What do you think of Creighton?
I think they're good. I think I worry a little bit about their depth, but you got 4 players that could definitely do some damage with Kalbrenner, Alexander, Ashworth, and Baylor Shireman. But outside of that, it worries me. I like the matchup against Purdue. If they can pull Purdue, I think they can beat them.
How far do you have Purdue going?
I do have Purdue in my Final Four, but I think Creighton's the biggest threat to them.
What about the Zags?
I like the Zags. I think the Zags are going to lose to Purdue, though.
Okay. Are you surprised by this Duquesne BYU game at all?
I am. I had BYU in my Elite Eight.
I had BYU going far too. I fell in love with them from playing in the Big 12. Walk-on wins, elite talent.
They're like a top 10 offense, and they're in the toughest conference. So you'd think that they would transfer over, but
does Long Beach State have any shot against Arizona?
No, none. I don't like the whole fired coach into the little tournament run. I'm not for it.
Yeah. I can't believe they just didn't wait until the end of the season.
Yeah, they were 4th in the conference. It's not like it was a horrible year or anything.
Yeah. And it's not like Long Beach State is a...
Yeah.
I don't think they're bad. I don't even know if they have a football team. I don't know. They're a great baseball school. I'll give them that. Like, the expectations for baseball should be high. For basketball, you're 4th in the conference. That should be a great year.
Exactly. And firing the coach before the season's even done.
It's messy. There's another coach from, I think, Duquesne, that I think he said that this is his last season.
Yeah. I did see that. Maybe that's why they're playing with so much firepower right now.
Yeah, we'll see.
If
he gets another coach, just if he gets another coaching job after beating BYU in the tournament, he may not retire.
I got one for you. If Duquesne wins today, they'll win Saturday also.
Duquesne wins today and Saturday?
If they can win today, they'll win Saturday. Because I don't think Illinois is any good.
All right, who do they have Saturday?
They'll get either Illinois or Morehead State.
What do you think of Illinois? They won the Big Ten. Tourney.
I think Illinois is bad. I think they're right up there with one of their first weekend exit. They might lose today, Kyle.
So, what's the best conference in basketball?
The Big 12.
Top to bottom or just the top?
Top to bottom. I mean, well, I don't know. I think the SEC is pretty good. I have Auburn winning it all, so I think I got to say something about.
You're the second person that has Auburn. Like my earlier guess says they're top 10 in offense and defensive efficiency and like all these Ken Palm advanced metrics. I'm sleeping on Auburn. I have them losing to what? Who do they play? Yale? I have them losing to Yale because I haven't even seen them play.
They're really good. And then it reminds me a lot of that 2019 team they had that went to the Final Four also. But I think they got to just get through today, and then they can beat UConn. I think if they get UConn.
Wow. Auburn could beat UConn. Okay. You heard it here, folks. Auburn can beat UConn. What other upsets do you have?
So I got New Mexico to the Elite Eight.
Love that pick.
I think Jalen House is for real. I like Oregon a lot today. Oregon is good. And then same with Samford. Kansas isn't as good this year.
Even if McCullers was healthy and playing, I still was going to pick Samford.
And then now that he's out, Hunter Dickinson's not full health, and I don't know. I also like JMU against Wisconsin in that little.
I have JMU beating Duke in the round after that. What do you?
Yeah, I was debating between that, but I'm not going against Duke.
It's a different kind of Duke team, though. I feel like they don't really have the identity. I mean, Filipowski's great, but everyone else on the outside just seems like they defer and they don't know their roles. Yeah, like he's good, but he doesn't want to step on Filipowski's toes.
Yeah,
but he needs to play at a higher level, and they need to play better together, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that. I think another sneaky team people need to watch out for is St. Mary's.
Ooh, not Grand Canyon? I thought you would pick Grand Canyon.
I was going to, but then I think St. Mary's is the worst possible matchup for them.
What about, Tyon Grant Foster?
Yeah, the guy. He's really good. But St. Mary's is, let's see. We got St. Mary's is the 14th best defensive team in the country and the 44th best offensive team.
But they lost Joshua Jefferson.
Yeah, I think also playing in the WCC helps this year in a down year. People would say it's a weaker league, but I mean, Santa Clara wasn't that bad this year, and
USF was good too.
USF was good. It sucks that BYU left, but I don't know. I think St. Mary's is a team you don't want to face.
All right, so St. Mary's, where are they? What region are they? Oh, they're in the West.
They're in the West, the messy one.
So who do you have, Bama or Charleston?
Bama.
Whoa, I got Charleston. Bama plays no D.
Neither does Charleston, really. I mean,
good point.
I think
can St. Mary's beat Bama?
Yeah. So then I got Michigan State moving on to beat North Carolina, then Michigan State to my Final Four.
Oh, you got Michigan State in your Final Four. Wait, hold on. So you have Auburn in the East, Michigan State in the West. Let's talk South. Talk about South. Do you believe in Purdue?
I do believe in Purdue. I believe in Zach Edey.
Okay.
Maybe no Big Ten refs will hurt them a little, but the South we're going. I was debating with Marquette a lot. I really like Tyler Kolek, and I like Oso.
I don't know if he's healthy though.
Yeah, but Shaka Smart said he's playing, and Shaka Smart basically plays defense for Marquette also. So
Good point.
But I do have Houston winning that one, and then Houston going to the national championship against Auburn.
Wait. Let's talk. Let's go to the bottom of the bracket. Colorado or Florida?
I like Colorado, but I don't know if they can get it done. Cody Williams is good. He's a
Let's
lottery.
talk about your boy Cody Williams.
Yeah, let's talk.
I texted you last year. You're like, he's okay. I don't want to say that. You said he was good, but you said Koa Pete was much better.
Pete's better, yeah. But then at the start of the year, he's getting mocked to be like top 5, top 10.
He doesn't. He's like the 4th option on the team. Has he always been like that?
Had injury struggles this year, so he hasn't been playing as much. He started off the year better, but I mean, he's right up there with Bronny this year and the biggest disappointments in college basketball.
Yeah, but Cody Williams will still be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, because I think he's got NBA build to him. More separation in the league.
They got KJ Simpson and Dil Silva. I think they're going to get hot.
They got
here first. They're going to beat Florida and they're going to be Marquette.
I like of the playing teams. I like Colorado State.
Yeah, they're good.
I think the Mountain West doesn't get enough love than it does.
All right, so back to the South. Okay, so you've got Houston coming out. You've got Marquette over Western Kentucky, Colorado over Florida, right? And then
no, I got Florida.
Oh, you got Florida. All right, and then Marquette, Florida. Who do you got?
Marquette.
Okay.
What about you? You got Marquette coming out, or you got?
I told you I got Colorado going to the Sweet 16.
They scared me. The game.
Kolek scares me. He hasn't played in 3 weeks. He's probably riding a bike. I don't think that means anything for the first round game, but the second round game, he said he was having trouble breathing. The pain hurts so much. That's what scares me.
I'd say this. I think Marquette is more likely to lose in the first round than they are in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight, or the Sweet 16 or the round of 32.
That's fair.
Western Kentucky plays pretty wild, and if they can speed Marquette up, it could get messy. Here's one for you, Kyle. I don't think Kentucky makes it out of this weekend.
Whoa. Okay, so do they beat Oakland?
They beat Oakland. Oakland will for sure cover.
Okay.
But I don't know.
They lose to Texas Tech or NC State?
They're losing to Tech. They're losing to Tech. As much as I love the story of NC State, they're going to lose to Tech.
Wow. I mean, I have Kentucky going to my Final Four. I've been high on them, but it's feast or famine. They could lose first round or they could go to the Final Four. That's how much talent they have. And that's also how much defense they don't play.
Yeah, 109th in defensive efficiency is kind of brutal.
All right, so you got Houston coming out of the South. Now let's go down to the Midwest.
Midwest, so right off the bat, I like Purdue and TCU. I think TCU got underseeded.
Okay.
And, they played in the hardest league, so they're going to win. And
Purdue going to beat TCU?
No, Purdue's going to win. But then everyone's on McNeese State, and I don't know if you saw the teams they played. They're not ready for March. Gonzaga's going to roll them. And then Samford's going to win. And then I like Oregon, Creighton, Colorado State, and Tennessee.
Okay. I like it. And then wait, who's winning it all?
Auburn.
Wow. War Eagles.
Charles Barkley, it's his year.
Charles Barkley and Chuck Person. What game are you most excited to see today?
I got to go the Illinois Morehead State game. I really think Morehead State is going to shock a lot of people today. And traditionally, I can't think of the last time a team that won the Big Ten tournament went on to do good in March Madness.
Okay.
So,
Where are you going to watch the games? Just watch them at home?
yeah, I'll watch them at home and then see what maybe go somewhere to a bar or something tomorrow to watch.
Tempe?
Maybe up in Tempe, Devils maybe.
Tucson? Get to Tucson tonight.
No dirty tea.
Go to Gentle Ben's in Tucson.
None of that dirty tea action.
Whoa, you don't like Tucson? It's a great college campus.
I agree with you. It is a good college campus, and dare I say, better than ASU.
Ooh. Yeah. ASU's more like, I know there's Tempe and Phoenix, but I just kind of lump it together. It seems like it's the same kind of vibe.
But I'd say outside of college in Tucson is just dirty. Old people.
That's where old people go to retire.
Yeah.
Don't get me canceled for making fun of old people, okay?
No, it's nice that they're there, but I think for a college, it's a good college campus, but once you get out of it, it's a little messy.
Yeah. The Duquesne still holding on.
Yeah, and Long Beach State is up right now. I mean,
they're not letting BYU get. Oh, there's an open look somewhere. Jackson Robinson, Cougars are back. As much as I'd like to see the Duquesne upset,
no, I can't bet against the Big 12. Kyle, can we talk about how bad of a job the committee did this year?
What did they miss?
First of all, putting Virginia in is horrible on its own. That was ridiculous. St. John's.
Who would you have taken? St. John's or
Patino.
Oklahoma?
Patino should have got in.
Okay.
I mean, highest net ranking and KenPom ranking ever for a team that didn't make it. Like, there's got to be a little.
Who should have been out besides?
I don't know I think they got most of the teams right. I think some of the teams were seated too high. I don't think FAU was an 8. I don't think Mississippi State was at 8. I don't think Michigan State should have been a 9. A lot of these teams' seating got messed up, but
UConn has the hard.
Yeah, UConn's got the hardest route for sure. Having 4 conference champions. Hello? Lost Kyle. Oh, we got some comments. Morehead State over Duquesne. I agree, Colin. Looking at this Arizona game, I mean, I think it's time people realize that Tommy Lloyd just isn't the coach. How many times are they going to fail in March until people start to realize it? I don't know what Kyle's doing over here. His Wi-Fi must be a little spotty. Is there a better day? Is there a better day all year than today? Here, Colin, I got one for you. Is today better than tomorrow? No, tomorrow's a Friday. I mean, you got to take the day off work at least. Your vacation day's got to be today. All right, let's see what BYU got. 8 minutes to go, down 3. I think we can definitely get something going. BYU's looking at looks like Kyle's got some trouble still. All right. And BYU trailed all the way from 14. All right, Kyle joined back in a second, so it looks like it's just me for a little bit. So I'm going to talk about what I think is another upset people are getting wrong is the Drake over Washington State. Everyone wants to pick Drake. You know, maybe out of justice for Indiana State for not getting in, but Washington State's got the tallest starting 5 in all of college basketball. That length, Drake hasn't seen anything like it. It's going to bother him. And so I got Washington State all the way to my Sweet 16. They're going to beat Iowa State too. Let's see. What's another really good game today? I think that Dayton game today, we're going to be getting a lot of good action. Western Kentucky for the upset. I agree to an extent. I think, like I said with Kyle, I think Western Kentucky has a better chance of beating Marquette than Florida, than anyone from Florida, Colorado, Oakland, Kentucky, NC State, or Texas Tech. So if Marquette loses, it's going to be early or when they run into Houston. I mean, we got a Houston dude in the chat. He might as well. He should know all about him. Kelvin Sampson, LJ Sire, Jamal Sheed. I haven't seen a better defense in at least 5 years. Randy, can you hear me? Randy?
Caden, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hear you. Hold on. I got to figure out what's going on here. Are you muted?
I'm not muted. They can hear me on the
All right.
stream. How we doing now? Yeah.
All right, say something.
Can you hear me, Randy?
Hold on.
Hello.
Hi. Back?
I'm back.
There we go.
Maybe it's
BYU.
my computer.
I think so. BYU's pulling back. Oh, they got to get them rebounds. What are we doing? We're still struggling with Randy, it looks like.
He can't fix his
I
audio.
hear you guys.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I can hear him. He can't hear us, I guess.
Whoa, Long Beach State.
Yeah, they're pulling ahead. Caleb
All right,
Love.
I'm going to log out and log back in.
Me?
Randy, we're really struggling with technology.
Well, I guess man, I shouldn't have came in this way. All right. I'm gonna have to just watch it from my my chair, holding my iPad.
Randy, are we doing better now or what?
I can hear you.
I can hear Randy.
All right.
Is this fine for audio, Kyle?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Yeah, when I plugged in my microphone, I couldn't hear you guys.
Randy,
Caden, what?
did you stay up for the game this morning?
What games? Baseball?
The Soul Series.
How about them Diamondbacks?
No.
What? Suns? Yes,
No.
KD.
No, the Suns. NBA basketball. The Suns suck.
What? Those are your
Whoa.
teams. You're
No,
all about the Suns. You're all about Kevin Durant.
No, I'm all about the Blazers. So, I guess.
Do you believe in Scoot Henderson?
Oh, I was so happy when we got him. I thought he was like a surefire thing. I think he's still young. He's a lot of like it's not time to panic yet. But Brandon Miller definitely looks like the better pick right now. But he's still young. You know, G League players. It's still fairly new thing, but so I still believe him. He still is my belief. It's not.
Don't worry, he doesn't listen to this podcast. You're done with Scoot.
I'm not done with Scoot. I think he's still got potential.
You think he should scoot on out of the NBA or the Blazers?
I think we still got some time to work on him. So Randy, we didn't stay up for the Soul Series. You didn't see Manny Machado at a 3-run bomb to seal the deal.
Did he? I read about it this morning. They said it was a crazy game. But the starter for the Dodgers, he barely got out of the first, right?
Yeah. Yamamoto or whatever it is, he's supposed to be so good, getting paid all this money. He's getting shelled every time.
Yeah, I guess he didn't have a good spring either, but it's early.
It is early.
Here's my prediction on Yamamoto. He's going to win 15 games, and his ERA is going to be 7.3. He plays with the Dodgers. He just got to weather the storm into the 6th inning.
What was the final? Wasn't it like a double digit? Both teams scored double digit?
15-11.
Yeah.
What do you think about Mookie Betts playing shortstop?
Oh.
I
don't.
You know, I think Mookie's a great player and a great athlete, but gosh, that's such a big move. It's one thing to go from the outfield to second base. Tough, very tough. But to go to short, like the defensive responsibilities as a shortstop, it's a lot. I haven't seen him. I almost wanted to tune into the game just to see what he looked like. I think over the course of, I don't know, what is he going to play, 140, 150 games, it's going to be different. Like, just the things that you do with your body, like as a shortstop, just all the squatting and bending, like with your back that you don't do as an outfielder, I think it's going to take a toll.
Well, he's a leadoff hitter, steals bases, so I don't think he's going to be stealing many bases.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's just a whole different like group of muscles. That's the thing people don't look at. It's like when you play in the minors and all these games, your body gets used to a certain set of movements. Right? And being an infielder, it's totally different.
What's wrong with Gavin Lux? Is he hurt?
I don't know. They kind of I figured he would be the shortstop. They kind of announced that he wouldn't pretty early in spring. Like I saw something that Doc said, yeah, we're not sure who's going to be our shortstop. And then the next day they announced Mookie. So this has got to be something a couple of years worth in the discussion of what he brings to the table as a shortstop, I guess. I haven't seen him a lot over there. I
love Mookie's embrace the ability to change positions, like most superstars, and rightfully so. They've earned it. We'll be like, I'm not moving positions. He moved from the outfield to second base, like part-time, and then full-time now to shortstop. Like, that's unheard of for a superstar. I mean, he's a top 10 player in Major League Baseball, and he's making a change. That's a big jump.
And not even like a little change. It's one thing to go from center to left or from short to third, right? Or short to second. That's huge.
Caden, where would you put Ohtani in the batting order if you were the coach of the Dodgers?
Third,
So who would you hit second then?
Freddie Freeman.
Okay.
I don't think the Dodgers. If the Dodgers don't win it all, there's gonna be problems. But I don't know. I like my Cubs this year. I don't know if they can win it all, but I think we can definitely make some noise in the division.
Okay.
You don't think so, Randy?
New manager. That's I love Craig. Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. I don't know. We'll see. They brought back Bellinger. It's a season of hope. Everybody's got a chance right now.
I just don't think they have enough. I mean, Bellinger, Swanson. Who's that kid who went to Oregon State that plays third now?
They got Ian Happ's so underrated, maybe the most underrated player in the league. I think Yan Gomes is going to have a huge breakout year this year. And then Sia Suzuki is going to bounce back from his slump that he had last year.
I will say one thing, Caden. You are very loyal to your teams.
I don't know. I feel like he switched from the Blazers to the Suns once he heard KD was coming, and then Beal came, and he just wanted no part of his hometown Blazers anymore.
I'll tell you what, though. If anyone other than the Celtics wins this year, Boston's going to be a mess.
I thought you were going to come out and say you're a Boston fan now.
No, I've gone to a decent amount of Celtics game this year, but I mean, they have maybe the best starting five I've seen that I can remember, like at least balance-wise. I think that this is one of the better NBA teams all time.
I get it.
What about that trade? What did you guys think of the trade kind of in the offseason with Smart and getting Holiday and Porzingis and all that?
Dude, it works out for them. It sucks for the fan base that they had to get rid of Smart, but it's going to work out for them. They're going to win it all this year. Although I think they should be scared of Jokic.
It should be.
Yeah,
I've already got the
everybody should
scout
be.
on how to beat him. You just got to run him off the three-point land, and Tatum and Brown in the two-game, late-game situations, they throw up crazy shots.
Yeah.
They beat you with, they just spread it out. You can't double anyone, and, pick your poison. It's either Porzingis or Derek White hitting the corner three.
I agree. I don't know how bought in I am to Tatum. I think Tatum's really good. Is he a top 7 player in the league yet? I don't know.
Yeah,
They're good when they can blow out a team, but in a late game situation, they kind of who's going to take control? Who's going to get the shot? And then Tatum and Brown, they shoot a lot of difficult ISO shots.
Yeah. The step back threes from Tatum need to end. BYU tied it up.
He makes them though.
Not in the clutch.
Not in the clutch. He's
the lowest
30% in clutch time minutes.
You can't say that. He was I don't know if that was last year or the year before. He was just exhausted by the time the conference champions came, because he was absolutely carrying that team. I think the thing that's hurt him is that he didn't have enough offensive help, and I think that's what Porzingis and Holiday are going to provide a little bit, because it was basically him and an ISO 3 out of 5 times down the court, right? And difficult, to Kyle's point, difficult shots, and he was hitting them. But that's just a lot to do over multiple series, and especially long grinding series.
What scares me, actually, what is their strength is also their weakness. It's their starting 5. Yeah, WST.
Hey,
their starters.
Hold on. I'm fully repped.
Love it. They're going to play 6 or 7 guys in the playoffs, and all of their starters are going to play 40 minutes. and that's going to go all the way into the middle of June. And I think their legs are going to be done.
I don't know. I
But
think
hey, let's get off the Celtics. Let's talk about Duquesne and BYU.
yeah.
Oh, Duquesne is
right.
up 2 with a minute left. Are you watching the game, Randy?
I'm watching Arizona. I have a vested interest in the 15-2 Arizona game.
Yeah.
Well, you need to switch to this Duquesne game because
Duquesne game's really good.
All right, I'm
I'm gonna
switching.
stop right here.
all right. Yeah, oh, back door.
Missed it.
Oh, did they foul him?
I don't know. It looks like a late foul call. I mean, ref bailed him out a little bit. That's a foul, yeah. So, Randy, what's the bracket looking like?
It's been a long time since I've done a bracket.
You did one this year?
No, I didn't.
No, of course he didn't.
I retired from doing brackets.
See, that's the difference. Me and Warren Buffett, we're gonna get to know each other after this year.
All right, Caden, give me your final four.
All right. So, in the East, I got Auburn coming out. We got
4
Auburn.
seed.
Yeah, 4 seed
Oh, he
Auburn.
missed the free throw?
He made one. We got Michigan State.
They look good today. I was watching that game earlier. They look really good.
We got Houston and we got Purdue. And then we got Auburn, Houston in the final, and Auburn taking it home.
Interesting. Wow. So you're not really on the Purdue is the best team that they're gonna just dominate and great storyline. The guy comes back to lead his team to the championship. You're not on board?
Purdue's a fraud.
It's hard to cheer for Purdue. After watching so many of their games, it's hard to cheer for them. Zach Edey gets the most soft foul calls I've ever seen.
Your dad would be proud of you right now.
Yeah.
Zach Edey is a better scoring Rudy Gobert. And we know what happens to Rudy Gobert in the playoffs. Bring him out, pick and roll, expose them.
But
Purdue is going to get exposed.
But he can just sit in the paint. He doesn't have.
Didn't work against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Furman.
I think Purdue. Everyone says Purdue is one of the easiest routes to the Final Four. I actually think they have one of the hardest.
Really?
I do.
Who do you see as a sleeper in there?
I think Creighton right now. I think Creighton is very underrated. I mean, Akron should be in this tournament. I don't know if you saw the end of that game in Conference Championship Week.
No.
The player fouls up 1. He didn't know the score. With 4 seconds left, Akron shoots 2 free throws and wins it. So a little bit of a heartbreaker for who is it? I don't know, but they shouldn't even be playing in here right now. And then Arizona is a whole other fraud of their own.
Dirty T.
Do you have something about sports in that state?
He's an East Coast guy.
Randy, I'll be honest a little bit. The fans are unbearable here.
What? What about them in Boston?
Boston fans are good.
They're
passionate.
That's one way.
They're ride or die. Arizona fans, you don't hear anyone talking about ASU basketball right now. But if they had any bit of life, they wouldn't shut up about them. Speaking of, Bobby Hurley needs to go.
BYU needs to foul. Well, actually,
why aren't they fouling?
Oh no! Duquesne up 5. All right, are you trying to get a quick 3 here? Or are you getting a 2?
2 and then foul.
Yeah, go to the rim. Go to the
they're
rim.
taking way too much time.
Yeah, you got to go to the rim. All right, you got fouled.
I don't think he was shooting, though.
No, it's definitely on the ground.
How do you let a guy get all the way to the hoop with no help defense in that situation?
It worries me now that the Big 10 or the Big 12 was a little bit overrated.
Yeah. Mountain West, underrated. That's where the seeding got it wrong, Caden.
I
Show the
agree.
Mountain West some love.
I agree. I think New Mexico. Remember New Mexico. Remember the name Jalen House. He's special.
You know who else New Mexico has, Randy? Jamal Mashburn Jr.
Really?
Yeah, the Monster Mash Jr.
Speaking of tremendous tournament players.
Yeah. All right, BYU's got a foul.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got to go for the press. If you don't get the steal, foul.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I like Duquesne shooting free throws. They already struggled. They already went 1-1.
What BYU has going for them is they can shoot the 3 ball. So if they can get at least a couple more possessions, foul.
Yeah, there you go. Just not a good way
Mm.
to start this tournament for the Big 12.
How about the WCC? Let's talk about power conferences here.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the WCC? I love St. Mary's and I love Gonzaga.
Are you serious?
I do. I think
Okay.
so. GCU, I actually did like GCU a lot this year, but I think they
You
matched up.
GCU's in Phoenix. You can't root for them.
I know. GCU, I like them a lot, but St. Mary's is just way better. St. Mary's is locked down defensively, and then they're one of the best teams in the country at getting open looks. So they just got to get a little hot, and it can get dangerous.
I watched them play Santa Clara, which was not a very good
Oh,
game for my school, our school.
yeah.
BYU, what they need to shoot this 3. Hurry up.
Get at the rim. Oh, we got fouled. Oh, gotta finish that.
Oh.
What is going on here? So you don't think Gonzaga is overseeded at a 5?
No, I don't think so. I
No.
think I knew Gonzaga was good when they manhandled Kentucky.
Yeah.
They just struggled a little bit early on. I don't think they have the size to beat Purdue, but I think they could definitely get some damage done.
They don't seem, I know it's all relative, they don't seem quite as good as they've been recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they have the top 15 NBA player on that team,
Yeah.
or even Drew Timme, who's a very good college basketball first-team All-American, and they had both for years.
Yeah, they got Ryan Nemhard. Oh,
Oh! Oh!
They got Ryan Nemhard. He transferred from
Creighton.
Yeah, Creighton. I wish he would have stayed, because then Creighton would probably be a 1 seed right now. If he would have stayed.
But his older brother played at
Gonzaga.
and he's with the Pacers now, I think.
Yeah. Pacers, that's a team you want to watch out for.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't like
Doubtful
this.
for the Pacers.
Don't put anyone at the free throw line when you're shooting free throws.
You don't like it?
No. Well, it might not matter. He just hit the first one.
It's more, I think I kind of agree, but you don't want to foul him. And you get a chance to set up your defense.
Okay.
Don't let him roll it in, though. You got to make him pick up the ball right away.
Yeah, you got to pick him up. Uh-oh.
Oh, open look. Oh!
Oh! Maybe more timeouts?
Yeah, they got one more.
Okay. So your iMessage going off, Randy?
Yeah, that's not me.
That's me. I gotta mute it.
Is that your bookie?
It's my team group chat.
A bunch of Duquesne fans?
Couple of them. So we played UMass Lowell this year, who was this close to making the tournament. They fell short, but they were the real deal. If they would have got in, no matter who they played, they would have won.
Okay. What are you doing this summer? Are you staying in Boston or are you coming home?
I'm coming home. I gotta work at Skippy's again. I'm gonna try and get that job again.
If you want to come to LA and train, we can go to the Drew League. I pretty much run like on the weekends. I play with like DeMar and James.
Yeah.
You want to come down and just set screens for me? I'm more than happy to get you on
Kyle,
our
I
team.
thought you retired.
I did retire actually.
Caden, I was at Skippy's a little while ago.
I saw a picture.
Yeah.
You see, they changed the place up a little bit.
What's
Yeah.
Skippy's?
It's like a little dive bar I used to work at,
Yeah. Close to the house.
close to the house.
Decent breakfast.
Yeah, very good breakfast.
Very good
They got let's see if BYU can get a steal here. They're only down 2.
I want this game to go OT.
Yeah. Oh, this dude's flopping now.
He doesn't want to shoot this free throw.
He doesn't want it.
No, he doesn't. You called it earlier. You said you're worried about Duquesne's free throws.
Oh, this is a shocker for me. The A10 in general is overrated. Dayton shouldn't be in.
Wow, no Dayton?
Oh, this guy's shooting 93% from the line.
Oh,
Is he clutch though?
it's an important one. Ooh, that was nothing but net.
So you know what? I think
He misses it. He looks awfully confident, though.
I think Duquesne can beat Illinois.
Ooh. Yeah, Big Ten.
Illinois
So she wrote, unless
now.
he gets fouled where he shoots it. Oh!
Dang. Well, that just threw a whole wrench in my bracket.
Yeah. That's why March Madness is great.
Yeah, that does not help.
All right, Randy, any thoughts on the Giants as we wrap up out of here?
Yeah, where do you want to start? You have
Snellzilla, Matt Chapman.
Yeah.
How do you like the Giants pickups?
Yeah, I think like the fans around here are excited. I think they brought in some players that have not only name recognition, but have had really good big league careers up to this point. The Giants had like an open house in San Francisco. There's a lot of excitement. Soler, Chapman, now Snell. They signed Jung-Hoo Lee, like is a guy that we don't know, but they signed him a big contract. He's supposed to come in, play a lot. So I think that there's a lot of excitement for what could be, right? If you get all these guys on the field, I don't know when Blake Snell is going to be ready. I saw something today that he wants to pitch in the opening series, which is ridiculous. Like I don't know.
That's like a week away, isn't it?
Exactly. So I don't know. I don't know what he's been doing. Did he and Scott Boras have like a whole camp set up for him to get innings and at bats, which they could have. Like he really could have been pitching and getting his pitch count up. I don't think the Giants are going to try to rush him, but I mean that's obviously huge because one of their weaknesses is their starting rotation. Behind Logan Webb, there's a lot of question marks as to what they're going to do. So Blake Snell is a huge fill in that. Like you have him and Logan Webb going into any series, I think you're really confident.
Go Giants. They play in the wild NL West, though. Dodgers favorite. Padres, got rid of Soto, but they still got a lot of bats, and they got some young talent. So
They do. I think the Padres will probably be better than they were last year, even though they got rid of, now Snell and Soto. I think they have the talent to definitely challenge for one of the wild card spots. And Arizona's, we've been hearing about them for a couple of years now. Like, oh, they've got these young guys, which, you kind of hear that every year in broadcasting, but it seems like people knew what they were talking about. I would expect them to be as good. Like, that was an unbelievable run that they went on, but I know Caden's probably upset because that's a hometown team that he doesn't root for, but I would expect them to be good. And then the Dodgers are the Dodgers. I mean, they're a juggernaut. So, if you're the Giants, you got an uphill battle, and you got three really good teams that are theoretically, probably on paper, if you poll the industry, that are ahead of them.
I think the D-backs, the biggest D-back this year will be Tommy Henry. That's a D-back that I'm a big fan of. He's pretty good. But overall, I don't know how good they'll be. Like, they're not a World Series team. That was just an unbelievable run. I think they'll maybe make the playoffs. I think they'll get around like 87 wins, somewhere in there.
How many teams from the NL West are going to make the playoffs, Caden?
2.
Yeah. So
Dodgers will win the division, and then either the Giants or the Padres. The Giants have more, like, I can see the Giants either winning 70-something games or 90-something games. Like, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're better. They're definitely better than they were last year. It's just the division's packed, right? That's really the wild card. Is the division's so good that if the Diamondbacks take another step forward, not necessarily going to the World Series, but just in terms of they're another year better, like that's a team that you're gonna have to match up with in your own division. Like, it could be a bloodbath, like just trying to go against the teams above you. And you never know. Colorado's sneaky. They're kind of streaky. Like, you catch them at their place at the right time, and you're like, wow, these guys are world beaters. So that's the game, though. That's the fun of it.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining on the pod. Sorry about the technical difficulty, but it seems like we worked it out. And I think on this note, it's go Gales.
Go Gales.
Go Zags. Go Creighton, but go UConn, because I need to win some money.
Yeah. You said go Gales on here? I know we're talking about the West Coast here, but that's the rival?
Listen, the Pac-12 is done.
Yeah, you got
like, all we have is the WCC now. Like, Caden is okay with U of A people and Arizona people and Grand Canyon people. I'm okay with St. Mary's people now.
You know what, Kyle? You've really matured. You've really matured.
Do what I can.
All right, I have one more question. Wait,
Let's hear it.
I flip out to the game. Oh, Arizona.
What about
out in the second round to Nevada?
Didn't they lose 15-2 last year?
They did.
Yeah, to Princeton.
Yeah. And so how about this?
Are you calling your shot?
Another 15-2, and they're playing, I believe, where we beat them. I'm not going to say how many years ago, but 1993. I think we're playing in the same place in Salt Lake.
Upset alert.
Hey, I'm just putting that out there. Caden?
Yeah.
I think Arizona's frauds, but I think I have them losing to New Mexico in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I can't see them doing it 2 years in a row, 15-2.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Tommy Lloyd, but I do think that they're pretty good. They're not going to lose first round.
We'll see.
Yep.
All right, fellas.
All right.
It's been great. We'll do it again sometime soon. Maybe at Skippy's. So set it up.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Kyle.